pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will call this board meeting of District 544 to order. Clerk, will you take roll, please?
Yes. Kirby Anderson.
Here.
Natalie Knudsen.
Here.
Melanie Cole. Here. Matthew Lemke.
Here.
Missy Hermes, present. Stephen Biggessa.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Could I get a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
And second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Our agenda is approved. We have a resolution on acknowledgements tonight. Thank you to the Fergus Falls 544 Education Foundation who awarded over $24,000 in grants to the Fergus Falls School District classroom wish list, fully funding 109 requests and partially funding 2 requests. Could someone offer that resolution and move for its adoption?
I'll offer that resolution for its adoption.
In a second.
A second.
Clerk, will you take roll?
Yes. Natalie Knudsen.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Matthew Lemke.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. Stephen Biggessa.
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
The resolution is adopted.
All right, then we'll move on to our reports, and we'll start with Kirby Anderson.
Yes, I've got 544 Education, Finance and Activities, all of which have met since the last time we had a report. I'll start with the Finance Committee. We did meet, Natalie and Matt and I met with Superintendent Drake and Renee on September 20th at 3 o'clock. And most of what we talked about was finance type things for Lincoln. And I think that we covered a lot of that last month in our last meeting in our work session. And then Superintendent Drake covered a lot of that in his superintendent's report in the paper. So, and his weekly. So that's kind of what we talked about. We went through a lot of the different scenarios, financing, timelines, and so on. So that was most of that meeting. Activities meeting. So Jeff Drake and Derek Abrams, Kirby, Steve Biggessa, and Matt Lemke, we met on September 12th and covered a plethora of things.
Long meeting.
It was a long meeting, but yeah, we covered everything from baseball and soccer and softball fees to different changes in activities, possibility of boys volleyball, quite a bit of facilities. Talked about things like the weight room and the using the Finance 161 ESSER dollars for that, which we talked about last week, or last meeting. Looking at future things such as replacing artificial turf and the track resurfacing. Gold gym floor, again, most of these we talked about last meeting at our in our work session. A little bit about the swimming pool, football concession stand, the food truck, a little update on the mascot, and everything from coaching hiring process to banners in the gold gym to credit cards versus cash to outdoor facilities and fencing and security and ticket booth and watching the playground during football games. So that was our activities meeting. And my last committee meeting was there was a foundation meeting. It was August. It was the annual meeting, and the regular meeting was held September 14th at 12:30, and the annual meeting followed at 1 o'clock. And we talked about the classroom wish list. I think there was 119 wishes that were made. 71 were filled, 6 partially, and they were working on the rest of them. But 102 staff members signed up for payroll deduction for the foundation. Talked a little bit about the Hall of Fame events that we had last weekend during homecoming. And so that took place on Friday and Saturday. And Superintendent Drake gave a short report on the first day of school. That we had 2,432 students enrolled. And financially, the foundation is doing well. The annual meeting went through a lot of the highlights of the year, including grants that were given, scholarships that were issued out, donations that came in, and fundraisers, payroll deduction, and so on. So it's a lot going on in the foundation. It's still healthy financially. And so that's my report for all my committees, unless there's questions.
We're busy.
Yeah,
On
busy
the
month.
activities committee.
Yes.
I've had, people complain about the app not working down by the football field because of lack of,
Coverage,
yeah.
cell coverage.
Yeah, so has that been addressed?
I don't
Or
think
is
we've
that-
talked
We
about
didn't
it.
talk about that yet.
Oh, okay.
At all, actually.
But we're starting to build an agenda.
We're gonna work on that.
Yeah.
We're working on that.
I was gonna say that will improve with that tower.
Yeah,
possibly.
with the Verizon
Yes.
tower,
Okay.
so that would improve that for.
Yeah, but in the meantime, if you buy tickets in advance and they can't recognize it because you don't have a signal on your phone, that's.
And they're on the honor system.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Derek,
and there was
Yeah.
some skepticism about people's honor.
Yeah.
'Cause that didn't seem very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you
just-
get it free, don't you?
Well, it wasn't
Oh,
me.
okay.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty slippery.
But
well then.
yeah, so we're gonna add that to the agenda. We're already adding other items to that
Okay.
co-curricular
As
activities
long as-
agenda. And hopefully we have more, we're gonna try to have meetings monthly instead of quarterly. That should cut down the length of our meetings.
Oh, great.
Nice. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move to Melanie Cole.
The Region 1 Cooperative Board met last month and there was nothing notable. Just functioning well, blah, 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 regular staffing and all that. So, nothing outstanding there. The Special Education Cooperative would have routinely met today, however, that meeting has been moved to Wednesday. Then we did get a partial board report in regard to, dynamics of Fergus leaving the co-op, blah, blah, blah. And we'll get more information on Wednesday, so I'll be reporting back on that. But that is all I have.
Any questions for Melanie? All right, then we'll move to Missy. Missy Hermes.
Okay, policy committee has not met recently, but the staff development committee met last Monday, October 2nd. And it wasn't a super long meeting. We did talk about having Krista Simongard is the chair of that committee, and she has created a really nice staff development handbook that's online, trying to put all of the staff development information on there for all staff members, certified and non-certified. And then talking about just firming up plans for that first staff development day, which is December 1st. And how part of that will be cultural competency training, which is required for teachers to renew their license. And then having breakout sessions in the afternoon with different topics such as project-based learning, literacy, the science of reading, literacy in the content areas for 7th through 12th grade teachers, strategies, classroom strategies for English language learners, and then also behavior intervention strategies, etc. So trauma-informed practices, which is something apparently that our paraprofessionals would like a deeper understanding of. And so they requested that, and it's always great to have our paraprofessionals attending these trainings. It's not just for certified staff. Those staff development days, they are definitely included. And so then we approved a few different individual requests, and that is that.
Awesome. Any questions for Missy? All right, then I'll move on. I'm next. The Wellness Committee did meet on September 26th. And there was a variety. That group meets quarterly, so this was kind of the kickoff. There's some new legislation about walking and biking safety education. So on September 26th, 4th through 8th graders were out in the parking lot learning about biking safety. And then K through 3 is learning about walking safety, and it sounds like most of those classrooms practice that on their way to the homecoming parade, so that was conducive. October 4th was Walk to School Day, so there was encouragement to do that. there's continued work around vaping. And one of the topics that was brought up was, I guess I wasn't there at the end of the meeting, but the topic was brought up of kind of just the stigma that everybody's vaping, but when actually looking at numbers, it's a lot less than people think. So just trying to educate that your peers actually probably aren't vaping, because kids are more likely to do it when they feel like everybody's doing it. But if we can educate them that they're really not doing it as much as you think, we might not see it as much. And then there was some conversation about just energy drinks in the schools. There was a principal that inquired about it, so we had a little discussion on that and talked about, is that something that should go in our handbook at some point? And so that was a little bit of conversation. And then we had some dental updates from Otter Tail County. They come in and just do education for the students. Otter Tail County Suicide Prevention Task Force was there discussing some of the things that they're working on through Otter Tail County 2. Glimmers of Hope was one of the pieces of work that she had brought up. And then, and then Lance was the final report, just touching base on what's happening in food service and just continuing to figure out how to keep things as fresh as possible, trying to get away from processed foods. And he was highlighting making more of their own taco meat, sloppy joes, granola. And it looks like they're working on some fruit and veggie bars for Cleveland School. And then nutrition labeling and allergy alerts are kind of a big project right now. So, lots of different things. Any questions?
Did you give any numbers on the breakfast wise? Did you talk about Lance? Just some usage and.
I don't recall that other than to say he's been pleased with the numbers.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sure. All right, now we'll move on to Matt Lemke.
All right, the Minnesota High School League met on Thursday, October 5th. So, actually quite a few things, so I think I'm just gonna go to the executive committee, brought 3 action items to the board that they approved. These are for the recommendations for 2023-2024 school year. So the league will support the health, safety, and wellness of students, coaches, and administrators and officials through leadership, instruction, support, and resources. So that's one of their goals. And number 2, the league will strengthen strategies and actions that promote and support diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging in all aspects of the league. And then the third thing that they talked about was the league will utilize high effective communication systems, except for putting their meetings online. I just added that one for myself. And structure that will meet the needs of our students, schools, and communities, and promote the mission, beliefs, and values of the league. So exclude the one about the videotape the meetings, because they didn't add that one, but maybe one day they will do that. So
Highly effective.
highly effective communication systems.
Highly effective. They had to add that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yep. Highly effective.
Highly.
So, anyway, and then track and field. I think this has been talked about a little bit. Is that the board did approve 2 spring activity advisory proposals, adding a 400-meter event in wheelchair division at the section and state meet level, and then they approved changes to the method of calculating the qualifying standards for the state meet. So they had some additional things that they added to that. Again, I think this has been in the news quite a bit about volleyball, that this will be a sanctioned interscholastic activity beginning in the 24-25 school year for boys volleyball, and that will happen in the spring. So they did decide to keep it in the spring. They felt that was a natural fit for it. the other thing that they talked about was, and this was a close vote, so they had a roll call vote, and it was 10-9 against approving a proposal for this year to see the semifinal teams 1 through 4. And they did not approve that. And in some ways, I'm glad they didn't, because it's kind of interesting how that seeding process can be sometimes, because it can just be, especially if you're outstate Minnesota and Metro, it sometimes can be a little bit, they see more Metro games, of course, than they do those people that are doing the voting process, and so I'm glad they didn't do that. And just for their increase in their ticket fees for cross-country, is gonna be the same as the track and field state meet, so $13 for adults, $8 for students. Hopefully, our parents and fans will get to have that happen this year, that they get to go pay that fee. So I'll be excited for them. So, and then just again, that this year's the beginning of the shot clock implementation, and so they are gonna be releasing some documents and training modules on that in late October.
So with the shot clock, and I don't go to enough basketball games, how big of a deal is that to have a shot clock now? Is it really, do they hold on to the ball a lot, like at the end of the game and stuff, or is it?
Well, I think for just an administrative part of it is just that, like, schools making sure they have a shot clock, and then it's also hiring an extra person to actually run the shot clock.
Yeah, but
Because you have
during
to
the
have-
game though?
Yeah, during the game, yeah.
I mean, during the game, is it affecting how high school teams play?
You know, I think for the first few games, people might notice it a little bit, and after that, I think it'll just, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it'll just be part of the game. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it, so you don't have those people holding on to the ball the whole time, and
Right.
fans just shining their cell phones because they're just bored because nothing's happening. That's happened a couple times in some section meets. I mean, some section games. So anyway, but yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Matt? All right, then we'll move on to Steve Biggessa.
Not much on my report, other than our first curriculum review meeting is gonna be next Monday at 5:30. So, we'll have more to report next month.
Thanks. And then Jeff Trigg, superintendent.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
A few thank yous. First of all, thanks to Lake Region Medical Group for sponsoring free admission to last Friday's game. Attendance was a little bit down. The weather was not super conducive to fan attendance. It was kind of cold and wet, but very, very generous on the part of Lake Region Medical Group, so we definitely want to express our appreciation for their generosity. And Farmers State Bank also sponsored a tailgating party that night, so thank you to them as well. They were grilling burgers and stuff, and very, very generous. The President's Own United States Marine Band performed on Saturday, so I want to thank the Fergus Falls Band Department and the Daily Journal. Really, really nice attendance for this event. 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. The lower part of the auditorium was completely filled with some people up in the balcony as well, and heard about a 2-hour concert and the musicians, and they had a soloist, and they were absolutely fantastic. So appreciation for those that brought that to our community. An update on Lincoln Phase 2 for the community. So the playground committee got together, and once again we just had a very earnest conversation about safety and really looking at that green space on the northeast side of the property. That's part of the contiguous 8 acres that we had purchased, and wanting to basically have that be a seamless transition between the formal playground and the green space. So we had discussed it during our work session, took those comments to Ari Morton and Zerberg Architects, and so this is the concept that they drew up. It does have the green space and the playground all connected and fenced in. Then on the southeast corner, you see that circle drive That's going to be the parent pickup drop-off, and there was a lot of discussion about what size that needed to be to make sure that there was enough room. But basically what we're hoping that will do is work pretty seamlessly and then keep the traffic, much of the traffic, all on that eastern side of the parking lot. So we don't have a lot of cars moving in and out between the rows where we've got families coming out, employees and children. And then with that plan, the buses would enter from the south entrance into the property. They would turn left, in front of the retail spaces, and then just circle the perimeter on the outside to the west, dropping students and picking them up on the northwest corner, and then coming around the north side of the building, and then exiting out to the north, eventually connecting with Pioneer Road. So that's the plan. It really, I'm really pleased with the responsiveness of Zerberg and the work that they did to kind of take that conceptualization and put it down. And there's a couple things that we need to review just with the city, basically in terms of meeting the statutes with fire department access in the event there should be a fire. But based on what they were looking at for the dimensions of the building, they did not see where we were going to have any compliance issues with the new design. Then on the new elementary school, that is too small now for me to read, but essentially this is the timeline for the community survey. So I wanted to give the community a heads up that you are going to receive a survey in the mail. It will arrive towards the end of October, and you'll have a couple weeks. I think they want it completed by November 17th. It will be a pretty simple and straightforward survey, asking a few questions about your impressions of the district, but primarily whether you would support a new elementary school serving grades 3 through 5 on a parcel that we will be closing on tomorrow. So we should have the results of that community survey back around December 1st, which will help inform our decisions for future planning. And this is the parcel that we are purchasing tomorrow. It's owned by the Rogness family. It's 29 acres. It is right across 210 from the Prairie Wetlands Learning Center. It has access points, 2 access points on Cascade Street. And this is a kind of a rough depiction of how that school could be laid out. 110,000 square feet. With the reluctance on MnDOT's part or concerns on MnDOT's part about accessing ingress-egress on 210 and looking at Cascade as being the primary in and out, they did move that structure on this diagram. That was going to be more in the southeast corner, and now you see it kind of slid down a little bit more towards Cascade. However, that also kind of opened up that higher ground for potentially the soccer field and a middle school baseball / softball field as well. So we're finalizing as a district what would be included in that development, but an estimated cost somewhere in the kind of 47 to 49 plus range, and we will have some tax impact numbers out to the community very, very shortly. Upcoming events. We are just around the corner already from MEA break, which seems amazing. The school year is really flying by. And then we do have an early release on October 26th. The Dallas Brass will be here on Friday, performing at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale for $20 per ticket. And some of our high school musicians will also be performing that evening as well, so it should be a great opportunity to come and hear some music. On student learning, try to include a few things each time I report. So Natalie had referenced the bike safety training that was going on, so that's a picture of that on my left. That was taking place in the KSS parking lot where the buses would typically line up after school. Then on my far right, this is a photo from Kate Hychek's classroom where they are doing some study of the various drinks that you can consume and whether they're healthy or not for you. And here, I don't have a lot of details on this, but I'm thinking possibly that young man has to ride a bike to be equivalent to the number of calories on the smoothie that's seated on the back side there of the picture. So.
It's actually a blender, the
Mhm.
bike.
Oh, is it? The
Yeah.
bike, oh, it blends it up?
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah, very cool. And then today was Indigenous Peoples Day, and Dr. Anton Troyer was here. He is a professor at Bemidji State University, and he was presenting to the high school and middle school students. And then I'll turn it over to questions.
Any questions for Superintendent Drake?
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Okay, then we will move on to our general consent items. We have the minutes from our September 25th, 2023 board meeting, and then we'll move to our bills and treasurer's report.
yes. Treasurer's report. Our fund balance right now is sitting considerably higher than it was a year ago, about $10 million higher, and no coincidence that we have about $10 million sitting in our debt service account, and that's because we've received some of the bond proceeds for Lincoln Phase 2, and we haven't had hardly any disbursements yet. So we're sitting a little bit higher right now, we're just over $30 million in the fund balance. A year ago it was just under $20 million, and that $10 million is that difference in debt service. A couple of other highlights on there. Community ed is in the green again. Last year they were in the red, about $84,000 a year ago. Right now they're about $70,000 to the good, so that's going good. Food service was about $655 last year, $655,000, and they're sitting about $700,000 right now. So down a little bit from last month, but still pretty healthy. So overall, our financial condition is pretty good. We are making a little bit of interest right now on some of those bond proceeds until we have to start making some disbursements. Matt came in early and we went through the bills with Renee. We have two different groups of bills, September 21st through the end of the month, and then the first 4 days of this month. And I think Matt and I both agreed it was pretty light duty this time. A lot of bills, but a lot of small dollar amounts. A lot of officials, a lot of high school soccer, high school football. We got volleyball officials, activity funds. Nothing really too much outstanding, especially in the latter half of September. In the first part of October, I think probably one of the biggest ones we had was just over $8,000, and I think that was the Comstock for the flagpole over at Cleveland that was put in last month. One of the nice things about having all the detail that we have, when we get a bill from the city or we get a bill from Otter Power, it shows us what the dollar amount is for each building. When we get a bill from even from Otter Coaches, it shows the different categories of the busing that the bill goes to. So that's really helped out quite a bit. And I don't know if any of you saw that it was in the news on Saturday, I think it was in the local paper, that Great Plains has said that the wholesale price of gas is going down about 30% for this coming winter from what it was last year. So hopefully, and I know we only have Great Plains certain times of the year, and I don't think we have them in the dead of winter, but if their wholesale price is going down, then we're hoping that maybe that'll be reflected in our wholesale cost, the wholesale cost for our supplier. So if you have natural gas through Great Plains, you can expect to have 30% lower bills depending on the weather, of course. So, thanks to Renee, everything was in good order as usual.
Thanks.
So,
Awesome.
that's my report.
Thank you. And then we'll move to personnel. Elaine?
Good evening, everyone. We have a few items here for board approval. Ashley Connell, long-term para-educator substitute at ALC. She has worked with us in the past and has returned to do some subbing work until through the end of this year, which is the end of December. And then we'll have Kimberly Golden
actually be hired as a full-time para at ALC, replacing the substitute, Ashley, starting at the beginning of the new year on January 2nd. Carly Wrighton, paraeducator in our health office, replacing Jamie Sim, who is going to be coming over to Kennedy Secondary School for our nurse office, actually next week. Maybe it's this week already. Weeks go by rather quickly. Tamosha Breeding, special education paraprofessional here at Kennedy. Dan Preston, student support aide, 5 hours a day at Adams. She has worked basically 2 days a week over at Cleveland previously, so she's moving over and working full-time, well, 5 days a week, I should say, 5 hours a day over at Adams School starting today. Support staff resignation, Ashley Thompson, who's a special education para here at Kennedy Secondary School. And then we have 2 certified staff hires. Tricia Hartwell, part-time Title I teacher. She's going to be serving our non-public schools. In the past, Terry Aho had done that. And she's a half-time teacher. And then Sarah McClure, special education teacher here at Kennedy Secondary School. So I would request for approval for those hires.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve our general consent items?
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. All right, our consent items are approved. We don't have any old business, so we'll move to new business. We have the high school music trip to Nashville and Memphis, March 13th through the 18th, 2024. And they presented at our last board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the music trip?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I would just comment that some of my comments from the last meeting got distorted, and the music department seemed upset. The point is, we need to be consistent about our message on kids being in school. I think there is a little bit of an institutional bias. If the music department goes during the school year and our languages go in the summer, something I just think we should continue to pay attention, and maybe time for a reset on when that goes, because for many years it has affected the entirety of the high school. So anyway, I just wanted to make that clarifying statement that we want the kids in school.
Well, and I think the comment you made last time too about the cost of the trip in general, maybe there's a way for them to go back and look at that itinerary and maybe make it more affordable, see if they can get it lower.
Yeah, part of what was missed in the comments I made is that the band boosters are really great. And
They
they do
are.
a lot of fundraisers, and yes, the trips are valuable. So there's no ding intended for the music department on that, just the simple fact that I'm suggesting we move the dial a little bit, put it in the summer. Yes, there'll be less kids, just like the other trips that are in the summer. But anyway, but there was no criticism offered of the music department. And it seems as though that's how it was interpreted, so.
And unfortunately, it's not gonna get any cheaper as we go
No.
on.
Exactly.
Sorry to say.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Music trip passes. Then we'll move 2023 to 2024 assurance of compliance with the state and federal law prohibiting discrimination. Can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. That is approved. Our next meeting schedule is Monday, October 23rd, 2023, right here in the Otter Community Room at 5:15. Can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting?
So moved.
And a second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. We are adjourned.